Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the PDPC, the PennDragon podcast. I am Ben Wong, and with me is
Roxanne Chu.
So this is our third episode. Roxanne, what have you been doing since our last recording session?
I think I made like one of the world's fastest dinners. It was like some macaroni bake. There's like macaroni elbows, some ground meat, tomato sauce, cheese, and I like threw it in the oven. I was like, cool.
That sounds weirdly delicious.
I've never made dinner that fast. Or a meal.
Wait, how long did that take?
Like 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. 30
I don't know.
to like 40 minutes.
I don't know. I come from a long line of too lazy to cook, so we can just throw dumplings in a pot of boiling water, and that takes like 5 minutes.
I'm talking like fruit, but from the time you make
like
the dumpling.
Prep. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. How was it?
It's good. Cheese.
I don't like
pasta.
that pause. That pause was very suspicious.
But it's like all these like good things. It's not really like bad. Cheese, pasta, tomato sauce.
That's true. Many people like all of those things. Well, I have also been experimenting in the kitchen. My mom called me and she has put in her Mother's Day dinner order already.
That's so cute.
Which is like so
like I was like courses?
I'm like, Mom, when even is Mother's Day? And I looked at the calendar and I'm like, oh God, it's like around the corner.
It's next week, man.
Yeah. So we're going to be she put in the order for a fried chicken, kind of popcorn chicken dish.
Like the little poppers or
yeah, little popcorn
I want a
chickens.
Drumstick.
And then she saw a picture of my ramen that I've been working on, and so she requested the ramen and the popcorn chicken. So I have that.
What about dessert?
I will get a tub of ice cream.
Just have Quiz help you.
Gourmet ice cream.
Have Quiz like pre-make it and
then there we go.
In the oven.
I'll do that.
I hope the ramen
is better.
Is better.
Me too. I'm not confident in my ramen abilities yet. Not enough to subject my mother to it, at least. But anyway,
we have high ramen standards, so
yeah,
give yourself
she does
some
at
credit.
least.
Oh, she does.
Yeah. Well, with us today is our very own Colleen Richards.
Hi guys, how's it going?
It's going good.
Great.
And what have you been up to since this quarantine started?
Oh, I'm still working from home.
Oh, that's nice.
Pretty much I know I'm pretty blessed and lucky for that, but it's been interesting just because I've also experimented with sitting in different parts of my apartment. So and then I even bought a desk chair just because the dining room table and the dining room chairs are not.
Show us.
So this is my fancy
desk. Wow, reclining.
It reclines. So, but it's now my office, is now the end of the dining room table. But other than that, I don't go outside unless I really have to, or I really want Starbucks. So
yeah, you really have to.
So that's one of my really have to's. Is just like, okay, I'll go get my groceries, and then I'll go to Starbucks, and then I'll go home, wipe everything down.
Do you ever just go to the grocery store for like one thing to say like, I need to go to the grocery store, but really I need to go to Starbucks right now?
I did that to go into Duane Reade. I was like, I really need to go to Duane Reade and get White Claw. And then I was like, oh wait, there's Starbucks.
Oh, perfect.
Damn it. I forget. Okay. New York pharmacies carry alcohol. I always forget.
Yeah.
Yes. And they put this one right at the front of the door. So like, really, nice. It's like a reminder to get it before you leave or get it when you come in.
Or they don't want people stealing it.
That too, but I don't trust the Duane Reade here.
You got your claw.
Got my claw.
Oh yes.
Right.
So we're also now introducing the consumption of alcohol on this podcast. So let's all crack it open. All right, everyone. Now, Colleen, what are you drinking tonight?
So I got new flavors of White Claw. So I have
review time.
The lemon flavor. Before this I had a little warm up one. Had the watermelon, and it was absolutely delicious. It's not too sweet. It has like just amount of flavor that it tastes good and not overwhelming. I'm currently on the lemon. Tastes a little like Sprite, but also very refreshing and lovely.
Nothing wrong with a little Sprite.
Yeah, and then in the variety pack, there's also the mango and the tangerine. So mango was already out last summer, so everyone pretty much knows they love it or hate it. I'm curious about the tangerine though, so I'll have to get back to you guys on that one.
I will watch like little like food snack reviews by you, Colleen.
Well, I posted a couple on my Instagram.
Oh my god. All right.
It's Colrich25.
Ooh, already with the plug.
Oh yeah, a little shameless plug.
Little shameless
Don't
plug.
worry, we'll leave time at the end for you to plug your
time.
Instagram in.
Oh, perfect.
And okay, so Roxanne, what are you drinking tonight?
So for those of you that live in Pennsylvania, know it's a little difficult to acquire alcohol right now. So I couldn't really justify going outside just to buy alcohol. So I tried Go Puff for the very first time, and I was like, where do you even get the alcohol? Like, do you dig it out of the ground and then give it to me? But I am drinking. The selection's a little bit limited, but I got some Easy Angry Orchard.
Amazing.
Delicious and refreshing.
Yes, it's crisp apple.
Interesting.
Nice. I could hear the crisp apple when you opened it.
Crispy.
Yeah. You crack the bottle open and you just hear
the
crispy.
How about you, Ben? What is the beverage today?
I am drinking a White Claw as well. However, I'm not fancy like Colleen, and I opted for a plain old standard lime, mainly because that was the only thing left in my fridge. Such a shame.
Still very delicious.
It's an oldie but a goodie. You know,
Old Faithful.
You can't go wrong with a lime flavor. You know, I experiment with a couple of the other hard seltzers out there, and you know, you can't go and like get Truly and then try like, the wacky flavors. You need a benchmark, and lime is the benchmark. And I went with lime today with White Claw.
Perfect.
Weirdly enough, we are not sponsored by White Claw, but you know, we would not say no to that. White Claw, everyone's favorite seltzer.
We'll put you on our boat, White Claw.
Yeah, we'll put a sticker on the boat.
We'll put a big sticker on the boat. That's all it is. It's just White Claw.
Yeah. We'll paint the whole thing. Is that cool? Cool. So let's get cracking, as they say. And so this is this is only episode 3, so we're still kind of like trying to figure out what we even are. And the thought of the premise is that, you know, we're a Dragon Boat team, and there's a bunch of people on the team. I believe we're like 60 strong now at this point. And it occurred to us that, you know, like during this pandemic, there's just not a lot of opportunity for us to like get to know one another, and we're very, you know, sociable team. I believe that's like where we're strongest, and just like us hanging out. So the thought was to just kind of start this little project and get to know everyone. How does it feel? How does it feel to be the second ever guest?
I feel very honored. Also, I'm very excited to see where this project goes and learn a lot about my other teammates. Mostly we see each other on weekends at practices and races, and it's mainly just top of mind stuff like how are you, how's work, but this is where you get to like really know someone's personal life, and I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, our goal here is to really dig into everyone's deepest, darkest secrets. That's the goal here.
Perfect. I'm ready. I'm vulnerable. Okay.
Let me just drink a little bit more here, and we'll get
let me just chug this real quick.
All of us.
Yeah, maybe next time we'll do shots, and with each different shot, the secrets get deeper and darker.
That's gonna be some therapy.
Yeah.
Well, the final shot.
This is just a therapy for all of us.
What's your copay?
Oh gosh,
my copay,
$0.
My copay is another bottle of tequila for the next episode.
So the average, because Roxanne said 0 and you said a bottle, so I'm just gonna go in the middle and buy
half a bottle.
A half a bottle.
Yeah, buy a bottle and then just pour it out in front of me and then give it to me.
Pour it out for one for the homies.
You know how in Hot Ones there's the last dab? Is the last one gonna be like Everclear or like you know the nasty Chinese cooking wine that you're not supposed to consume because it's like I don't know 95%.
I mean we can just ingest straight ethanol.
I was gonna say, but ethanol is in short supply, so don't do that. Some people need it. People need it. People need it to disinfect their homes.
I don't know. Our president told us it was cool, so you know I'm thinking about it.
Well, I had some Tide Pods before this, so.
Oh well, you must be
the legendary disinfectant
right now.
Oh yeah, I could go outside. I'm unstoppable.
If you start foaming, and you're like, Colleen, stop.
So let's start from like the basics, right? So we're a Dragon Boat team. Colleen, how did you like hear about the team? What life event led you to this team?
To us.
So what led me to you guys had to be I just moved to Philly in 2000 and I want to say 17, and I was new to the city, knew maybe a couple of people. I've done Dragon Boat previously in New York, and I thought that would be a good sport for me to get back into since I'm recovering from 4 knee surgeries. So I was like, okay, let's do a sitting paddling sport that's upper body favorable. And I was looking around. I knew about a couple teams in the city, but I felt that PDPC was more of my age demographic in terms of young professionals in their 20s and 30s. Definitely more of my scene because the team I previously was on had a lot of high schoolers. So it's kind of hard to interact with the youngers. And then you had adults who are like married with children and like live in the burbs. So I needed that nice little sweet spot. I was going to join the team and then I had it in 2017, but then I had knee surgery. So I was like, okay, I'll wait till next season. So I was on Meetup and I just Googled and saw you guys and sent you guys a message, and here we are 2 years later.
A tale as old as time.
What made you stay? Like, why were we the one?
Because you guys I just knew it in my heart and my stomach. No, it's more so. It was just the community. The people were just very welcoming and loving, and I had a lot in common with a lot of people. And it was just something that everyone had the same goals and ambitions in terms of the sport itself of Dragon Boat, but also we really, we're a family off the water. Like we like to go out to eat and have game nights and just go out and be together. So I think that's something I really enjoyed having. And that was my group of friends in Philly, and I really love it. And now that I live in New York, I commute down to Philly every weekend if possible to come hang out with you guys. So that's how much I love it.
Yeah, I've always been amazed at your willingness to commute to Philly. Yeah, the dedication, because like I mean you moved back to New York. When did you move back to New York?
It's September 2018. I moved back.
2018. Yeah. Okay. And then, but that was still like kind of, we still had like the last chunk of our season then. And you were like, I still saw you every weekend. So it didn't even like occur to me.
Move.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't think I moved. They were like, wait, I thought you moved to New York. I was like,
Well,
loose terms.
yeah. So I mean, and then I heard that you did move and you just come back every weekend, and I'm just like, oh my god, this girl is intense.
Do you think you can give some of our listeners an idea of what your commute is like?
Sure. So I'm commuting from New York City. So usually I'm leaving from Penn Station. On days when, or weeks that I get a paycheck, I will take Amtrak. Take Amtrak from
Nice.
New York Penn to 30th Street, right, direct train. It's lovely. But on days where, it's a little bit more expensive, I will go from New York Penn and I'll take the New Jersey Transit train to Trenton, and then switch from Trenton and hop on the SEPTA, take the SEPTA and get to 30th Street. So that trip's about, I want to say I leave New York around 5:30. I'll get to Philly by 7:45. So it's still not that bad, and it's half the price of an Amtrak ticket, but Amtrak is obviously nicer because it's just direct and, you just sit there and it hopefully is on time, but that's the thing. And then on the way home, I will take the bus. So I'll take a Bolt bus. Usually I take it sometime on Sunday afternoon or evening, and it's 2 hours, no traffic or anything, which is surprising for a lot of people who know traveling from New Jersey, like through New Jersey to get to New York is you're just sitting at the tunnel.
Oh yeah, it's kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Is that why you don't take Bolt bus to come to Philly?
Yes, that's correct. I don't take it there because rush hour New York, leaving the city, I remember sitting on for an hour waiting to get into the tunnel. And then by the time I got to Philly, it would have been equal to me just taking the train. So I was like, never doing that again unless I'm leaving at like an off hour. So just don't go during rush hour. If it was like 2 p.m, I probably would take the bus. But 5:30, definitely not. Not on a Friday, and definitely not a Friday in the summer.
Oh my God, that sounds like such a nightmare.
You got it down to like a T.
I've done it the science. I've tried, different bus companies, different ways to do it, but I found, what works for me. And it's to the point that I'm now recognizing the staff that works on all the trains. Like the conductors know who I am. The bus drivers know who I am.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I'm just like, oh, hey, that bus. Hope you had a good week. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, go right in. Like, thank you.
Hey Terry, how are the kids? All right, see you later.
A couple of times I've got on the bus after practice, and I like pre-apologize, being like, sorry, I am soaking wet. I promise I will go change.
Oh man.
I don't smell great, so please. And he's just one of the bus drivers is like, what do you do? And I was like, this is a longer conversation. Let me go change first.
I just take a dip in the Schuylkill River. It's not a big deal.
I'm sure you're not the smelliest.
No.
Yeah, they've probably encountered worse.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But usually there's always that one person on the bus that will eat on the bus. Like one person ate like salmon and fish, like things you don't want to eat.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, oh no. I was like, and I thought I smelled bad. I was like,
let me pick the most pungent food I can think of.
Yep.
Oh
I
always
get nervous about eating fish like outside of like a restaurant or in public. But yeah, it's an interesting choice by someone.
I mean, eating in public in general, like you don't want like, oh, let me sit down and set up this meal kind of situation. You want the portability of it.
Portability.
Yeah, sandwich is the ideal travel food.
Oh yeah. You don't want something that's probably going to spill. Like there's a million potholes between Philadelphia and New York. Like
most of them in Philly, weirdly enough.
Mostly in Philly, leading up to the highway, right by 30th Street.
Yeah, the second you get out of Philly, it's just all clear.
So
but on average, that trip has a million potholes.
Oh yeah, I'm just like, why am I smooth sailing and sleeping on this and not just having motion sickness? It's so strange.
Terrible. We're famous for our potholes here in Philly.
Taking some wheels for sure.
Yeah, I just got a flat like a month ago.
Oh my God.
Getting like
and
it was so dumb. It was this pothole that I like fly over every time. Not, I don't like hit it, but I like, I avoid it.
It was a
It's so weird. I keep hitting the pothole and my tires are fine, except for this one time.
This one time at band camp, it just went off.
Yeah, and then I was on the highway and I just fucking just hit it right at the perfect angle.
Oh no.
And it was the bad hit where you you hear it and then you just hear your rims just scraping on the ground. And I'm just like, oh, sorry, I can't do anything about it. Just gotta muscle through it now.
Gotta get to work.
Yeah, and then I pulled over on the side, and I was just changing my tires on the highway like an asshole.
At least you pulled over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have just stopped.
And you know how to change your own tire. Also impressive.
That's another.
I watched many YouTube videos on it.
While you were pulled over, you're like,
yeah,
you're like
phase. Oh.
Were you like that? Were you like
episode 3, the first time we introduced alcohol and Roxanne spills it everywhere.
No, I didn't spill it.
Oh, you did.
Dropped my
It was
phone.
empty. Oh.
And I
God.
hit my thingy.
That sounded like you just smacked the bottle and it just went flying.
Nope.
Thank God.
Subtle sounds.
Yeah. I applaud your dedication for doing that because I would not have the will to do all of those things.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Our head coach Henry tells me I'm crazy pretty much every week.
You are.
You are.
So,
every time you show up, he's like, "What? What are you doing here?"
Literally, that's what he does. Like, what? Why are you here? I'm like, we got practice. You're late.
I've been here.
Roxanne gives me rides to practice, so I'm on time.
Ah, that's
or
right.
I make her early. I don't know what we call it.
I think it's the latter.
Because we don't want to be late, but the thing is, we get there early and we're always stuck taking the boats out. But it's okay. We get there early. Early's on time, right, guys?
No, not with our team at least.
Our
team. It feels like we're always just like barely making it every single time.
That's true. There's a lot of running down the ramp.
Oh yeah.
That leads to the dock. So I'm always concerned that someone's just gonna. I mean, a few people have eaten it.
Yeah.
But I'm just concerned that someone all the time is gonna do that. But maybe it just teaches them not to be late.
No. I've definitely been one of the people running down that ramp, and I remember doing it recently. I don't think it's a lesson you learn.
Recently?
Yeah, like yesterday. Like whenever it was the last time we were on the dock.
That was a long time ago.
Was it?
That
oh my God, yeah, that was
September of 2019.
Oh my God.
That's a long time ago.
Like 8 months ago.
Well, no, we've had a couple unseasonably warm winter days.
Have you gone out?
Yeah, I snuck out a couple times.
I know, like a couple people tried to take the OCs out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's
one
pretty much
OC.
Well, there are two now. The second one's fixed.
Yay!
Thank God.
Yay.
And supposedly we have an OC2, but then the pandemic happened, and I don't really know where that ended. Maybe that will be another episode where we figure out where our OCs are.
I think it just has to come over to us. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I think we purchased it.
Once the dock opens, we can probably.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going crazy once that dock opens.
I know.
I'm jumping in.
I have a pool party.
River party.
River parties.
Ew.
It's the Philly version of a river party. The river parties in Texas are much more fun.
Can we have a cleansing shower that's right at the dock, so when you jump out, you just run to the shower and be like, ugh, clean me.
That's what the teams here in New York have. They have a shower that you rent.
Dang.
I don't know where it hooks up to. There's
plumbing.
There's a way to rinse yourself.
I don't know what that's like. I just jump in and then I get in the car and go home and shower.
Or we go to a restaurant.
Or go to a restaurant and just touch everything, which may be frowned upon now after all this.
A lot of things that we do is going to be frowned upon. And that's outside of these are sober activities that are going to be frowned upon.
Oh yeah, you don't mean drunkenly doing pull-ups on scaffolding
No.
in the middle of the street?
Oof.
We're doing all sorts of weird balancing and holding and staying
Oh yeah.
balanced,
Carrying people.
carrying people, all the things.
Uh,
Good times, good times.
Good times.
And they are good times to come to.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned your knee injury, your knee surgeries. So I mean, let's
crazy. Plural.
because you've had a bunch, and I imagine. Well, you said that's like the kind of what kind of influenced you to come into Dragon Boat, right? Like you don't really use your knees too much in this sport.
No, you don't really run, and you don't like have contact with other people. So certainly dragon boating was that much better. I grew up playing soccer, and so that's kind of where a lot of my knee issues came from. I had it, since I was 12. I'm 30 now, soon to be 31 in August. But when I was about 12, 13, I started having tendonitis. So it's right under the kneecap, always like swelling after soccer games. And then after, I think it was the summer before my freshman year of college, I had an arthroscopic surgery just to clean out a lot of the cartilage that was swollen and inflamed, and then went into my college career of having a knee injury. So that definitely did some damage for 4 years. And then after college, I played a couple more years of soccer and then found flag football, started playing a lot of flag football. And then I moved out to Denver and was part of this organization called the Alzheimer's Association. And we had a flag football kind of game fundraiser that was Blondes versus Brunettes was what it was called. And so we had our game, and I think it was the second practice, a girl on my team ran into me, and it was complete accident. We were just going up for the ball together, and we hit knee to knee. Oh. So I thought, knee to knee injury, it hurts and it kind of stings a little bit, but it's one of those, you just get a bone bruise and you just move on. But this one wasn't. I hit the ground and I pretty much didn't get up. I was like kind of like fell and ended up like face down, which is fine because I was like catching my breath. But then as I tried to roll over to stand up, I couldn't even roll over. Like that was like excruciating pain. So they got me on my back, and then I saw my knee. My knee was the size of a baseball. And so my coach basically drove his car onto the field, put me in his car, and drove me to the emergency room. I remember this day completely because it was also the Monday of March Madness in 2015, the March Madness final. So I basically watched that game from the ER, and they did a MRI. They saw that like my kneecap like moved out of line. And then I was waiting for the doctor to read the rest of it. And he said, like, you completely tore your quad tendon, which is basically the tendon that attaches your kneecap to your quadricep muscles and your bones in your quad. And then my patella tendon was also ruptured. So basically I just did complete damage to my knee. That was on Monday. I saw a doctor on Tuesday, and I had emergency surgery on Wednesday. So that was and I was also still in grad school. So I still had to take classes, but I pretty much just took my classes from home. I was in a 8-week brace where I basically had to keep my leg straight the whole time. I could put little to no weight on my knee. So basically walking around on crutches. Showering was a complete like trip. I wouldn't shower unless my roommate was home in the event that, like I fell or something. One time I didn't want to shower just because my roommate was out of town. I went and got a haircut and basically was like, can you shampoo and condition my hair? It's been a week, but I can't obviously. And they're like, no problem. And they were very nice. They didn't even charge me for the shampoo and conditioner because they felt bad. They knew what was happening. Then I did a lot of physical therapy. So that was still, a big recovery. And then that was April 2015. And then I moved to Philly. I lived in a third floor walk up. And every day I'm walking up the stairs, walking down the stairs to work. And I was like, my right knee doesn't feel so great. So, because my previous injury was on my left. And so I was like, my right knee is just hurting. it's just overcompensating from like all the damage on my left. And so I went to the doctor, I went to Rothman, got an MRI. They were like, okay, so your patella tendon is 80% torn. You're going to have surgery. So got surgery in my right knee, went to a Rothman out in Media, Pennsylvania. So basically I had to go out there and had my mom and I take an Uber home back to Philly. I lived basically I couldn't obviously go back to my apartment because I'm not walking 3 floors. So I basically lived in the Holiday Inn on 12th and Walnut or 13th and Walnut for 2 weeks. So I basically stayed there, was able to, take care of myself. Mom would get me food, things like that. My friends would come by, say hi. But that also learned that I needed to find a new place to live. So while I was there, I was also apartment searching because I was like, I need to live in an elevator building because I can't do the walk-ups just because of my knee. So that was, I want to say that was 2018 or 2019. Yeah. So sorry, 2018, that happened. So it was definitely a whirlwind of knee surgeries. And then after that, it doesn't end. So I was in physical therapy. My left knee was feeling a little off. And so I actually had to go back and the same surgeon that did my right knee went in and opened up my left knee again because he found that one of the sutures didn't dissolve and it was just like stuck in between my kneecap. So basically had to go in and pull it out. And then it's been feeling okay since. I'm still recovering a lot of things. I'm now the things that I used to love a lot, I feel very limited in doing. Mostly I really can't play contact sports anymore. So no more football, no more soccer. Pretty much running I can do. I just can't do like sprints, which is unfortunate because that's pretty much what I've been doing growing up. Distance running is also definitely out of the question. At least I've gotten those out of the way in the past. I've done a few half marathons and a triathlon. So the younger Colleen was able to experience those. But now as I'm older and creeping into my 30s, I've talked to doctors and we've also discussed that I'll probably need like a knee replacement at a very early age, a lot earlier than most, like the average person normally. So I'm mentally prepared for that. So we'll see. Well, hopefully it'll get me some new bionic knees.
Yeah, maybe you'll have better knees than all of us one day.
That'll be the goal. Just turn into a little robot and just jump and sprint.
Yeah, robo rocket knees.
Make my way into the Olympics. Watch out.
Dang, I had no idea they were so like close together, your surgeries. It's like back to back pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It was 3 surgeries in about 2.5 years.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And not like simple surgeries.
No, they weren't simple. They were all open. Only the last one was arthroscopic. The other ones were, so now I have super cool scars on my knees. So
you do. I mean, I've seen your knee scars and I'm always just like, damn, those are badass.
Yeah, the one on my left is cool. The one on my left, they did a really good job on. That was 29 staples. And then the one on my right wasn't as bad. It was only like, I want to say 10, but still pretty cool.
10, that's not.
Roxanne's shuddering.
You're like completely disturbed by this, Rox.
I don't take like medical procedures very well. Hence why I'm like nowhere near the medical field. Like, wow. How, like, you mentioned you've basically been in sports all your life. I'm like speechless. Like, I don't even know what. I think like basically like how did this change everything? Because you were very like sports oriented your entire life, and then it kind of like went away like all of a sudden.
Certainly it did, because most of my life I kind of identified as an athlete. That's really the main thing I kind of always led with. Once that got taken away, I certainly had a lot of mental health concerns. But at the school I went to, they had a really good therapist. So I went to go see my therapist twice a week. We talked a lot about depression and anxiety. So that's kind of what I was feeling. And also just how do you see yourself other than an athlete. Because I remember one of the first sessions before my knee surgery, she always asked me, like, how do you see yourself? And I definitely led, like, athlete was one of the first, like, top 5 words, I would say. And so now she's like, how do you see yourself? And I'm like, well, definitely not an athlete anymore. And she was like, there's other ways to be an athlete without having to do the sports you were doing. So it certainly was a struggle mentally and emotionally, because that was something that I really hold near and dear to my heart. That's how I knew how to make friends, was to join a sports league and like move to a new city, join a sports league. Like that's how I would do it. It's one of the easiest ways I found it to make friends. So I think that was really challenging for me. Also, I was in school at the time, so I missed about 4 weeks of school. But at least I had very flexible, professors, and I was able to graduate on time, which was really exciting. But also at the same time, it's like I feel like I missed out on experiences, because you don't hear or listen to this classroom banter or go out afterwards. It's kind of like, well, I'm gonna just be here and just hopefully get better. But I think my support system was huge, because mainly my big one was when I lived in Denver. My mom was here in New York, so my mom wasn't here to, take care of me and make sure I was okay. So I had to really lean on my friends from grad school, and which was such a blessing, just because, I've only known them 5 months for that point, but we became such a close family in those 5 months that they were able to help me with whatever I needed. Like they did my laundry, they grocery shopped for me.
Oh, dang.
Like they did everything for me. There was good friends for sure. And so I'm very lucky to have them. And I feel that brought us kind of all a lot closer.
Wow. That must have been so hard. Like kind of redefining yourself in a sense. Now, and so like, so you went to therapy, and was that while you were in Denver as well? I'm kind of mixing up the timelines, I guess. So can you reiterate for me again your timeline? So it's when did you go to Denver in all of this?
I moved to Denver August of 2014. And then, so that's when I started grad school, was September 2014. And then my first set of knee surgeries was August 2015.
Okay, so
April 2015.
You were there already, pretty much.
Yeah, I was there, had my group of friends, things like that. But I'm pretty sure that wasn't on the agenda of things that we were going to cover as friends.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm going to go to Denver and I'm going to destroy my knee.
Pretty much.
So then how did you see your Denver like trajectory going before all of this? Like what was the plan?
So the reason I moved to Denver was to attend grad school. So I was going to the University of Denver. I was going to get a master's degree in marketing. It was basically, I chose Denver, just, I've never been to Denver prior to going there for school. But it was something that, it had the program that I wanted, because I wanted to do a master's focusing in marketing, not getting an MBA with the side focus of marketing. And also the school was predominantly, it was like you could do your degree in a year or 15 months. So it was already a little bit cheaper than kind of the other schools I was looking at. And so, I thought it would be like a great adventure for me. I knew no one when I moved to Denver, pretty much just packed up my car, said goodbye to my girlfriend, and moved out there. So it was definitely a big change for me personally. I actually got a tattoo like the day before I left. My tattoo says every storm runs out of rain. And it pretty much talks about how a lot of like hardships, it's going to be really sucky for a really long time. And then you just have to hang in there and things will get better. So, because at the time when I moved to Denver, that's also a big change. It's just, that was, just a whole new place. And then I had to break up with my girlfriend of a year and a half. So when we lived together, so that was a big change. My parents were going through a divorce at the time. So that changed. So it was pretty much a lot of things were going on in my life, and Denver, I was going in with an open mind, but very scared and very nervous. But once I got there and made the friends in my program that I did, that I was like, okay, this is somewhere where I could see myself living, where I could see myself thriving. And I basically just had to kind of leave my life in New York, not behind, but just know that it's there, and not to be like, oh, I miss home. Be very much open to what's the great things that are going to happen in the future. And so I really saw that as I started, more and more weeks were building up living in Denver.
Yeah, I mean that that's great, like just life advice there.
Yeah.
Because I mean you and it's to say that, like, you have to keep kind of moving forward in a sense, and like no matter what city you're in, you're kind of always adapting to that. And I feel like I've seen you do that, because I remember seeing you on like your first practice, or maybe it was your second. Either way, it doesn't matter. In the very beginning, and like you like clicked right away with everyone, and I know, like, usually for like a new person just joining any kind of group is very intimidating. It's very difficult. And I mean, maybe it's just because you've gotten through it with just sheer practice. But you injected yourself very easily and very I don't know, fluidly.
Yeah, I think that's a
Very
word.
Sounds good. I like that word.
Well, smoothly, very smoothly. And that's always something I've like kind of admired about you, just like your ability to kind of just like
go for
like,
it.
there's a big group, here we go, and then you just kind of go for it.
That was great. Here we go.
That's how I like to see my life, is just kind of just dive right in and just see what happens. I think as I gotten older and growth, I've definitely, as a kid, I was a little more shy, didn't have a lot of, self-confidence.
Oh yeah.
And then
we've all been there.
We've all had our awkward teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I got older,
I feel like I'm still in it.
I think I have my moments, actually, for sure. I think, like, as you grow and learn, it changes. For me, I think I hold on to Denver so much just because it really defined who I was in terms of how it changed my outlook on life, but more importantly, how the outlook on myself. And so it was a lot of more like self-discovery and thriving in terms of my own personal growth. And so that's why I'm really excited. And then I moved to Philly 2 years after I moved to Denver, and I had to do it all over again. Like, at least in Philly, I knew like 3 people. Mm-hmm. So at least like I had a small group to know. And then, then it just thrived and gotten bigger. My friendship circle's gotten so big that I rather now be in Philly than be in New York.
You should just come back to Philly.
I know, I'm looking to rent a place
Think
already.
about all those times, all those awkward bus driver conversations where they ask you what you do.
Right, exactly. I could just
avoid now.
Just avoid it. I'd still commute to work. It'd be fine. You could just do a reverse commute.
I've actually met a fair number of people who commute from Philly to New York, and I remember working with this one guy who did just that, and like.
They're called so they're the commuters that go from Philly to New York. They're called super commuters. So they have their own subculture of people that, either the Amtrakers or the New Jersey Transit people. They all have their own like subculture group, because a lot of people in New York, actually in Philly, do travel to New York on a daily basis. When I lived in Philly, I worked at Comcast, and so a lot of the Comcasters actually would all travel to New York together. So it was kind of fun, but also it takes a lot out of your day. But the thing is like, once you get on the train, you open up your laptop and you start working. And then when you get on the train on the way home, open your laptop. So you're always still connected and you're still working. You're not physically sitting at your desk at whatever office, but you're still reachable. You're still taken care of. Business.
I feel like that's like a common north like thing that happens in like the northeast part of America. Like, maybe it's like a it is a geographical thing. Like, I have friends, their coworkers come from like Connecticut every day, or like Delaware, like Maryland, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think that's just the culture. And also, I think it's also the accessibility. A lot of it is public transit. If you, like me, the Northeast has probably the best public transit system. But if you kind of look at like the West, if you go to like LA or California, they're all driving. They have some public transportation, but most of them are all driving and sitting on the highway in a parking lot. So
kind of stepping back to like your Denver times, was there anything else that like attracted you to going to like, it could be like specifically Denver or like a different state or like the west coast of the US, like other than this program, was there like anything else?
it was really just to give myself a new adventure. Just going to a new state, and it just fits my lifestyle because I love to be outside. I love to, play golf, go skiing, hike, bike, things like that. And I mean, that's what Denver people do, like for fun, like all the time, like literally all the time. And so I was like, okay, this could be worth a cool. The misconception of Denver and Colorado is that it snows all the time. So people in the West, and like my friends in here are like, why are you going to go there? It snows literally every day of the year. I'm like, actually, in the city of Denver, there's 300 days of summer. And so basically it's just sun. And what I loved about it is, because sometimes I think we do it here in the Northeast where, you kind of switch out your closets. You like put out your winter clothes and then switch it back for your nicer clothes. In Colorado, you have to have a big closet just so that, because all your clothes stay out, because you can go to the mountains and go skiing, snowboarding after a blizzard. But then that same day that there was a blizzard, you drive back to Denver City and you can go play golf and it's 60 degrees out and sunny. So you kind of always have to be like ready to go for whatever outdoor activity is available. And I love that idea of just being more active and just being more outside and getting that nature feel. And also Denver's beautiful. Like everyone sees it, and like you just Google Denver photos and it's just mountains. That's it. It's just like mountains and sunsets. Basically we always say in Denver, if you get lost, if you like don't know which is north, south, east, west, the mountains are to the west. So we'll just always know like the mountains are there and the sunset's in the west. So the sunsets are just the most magical things like I've ever seen. You kind of don't get that in the Northeast unless you are not in the city. Like you got to go away.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty magical experience. And so I think a lot of it, not just the program, but also just what also that state has to offer was also a big draw for me.
So, I mean, how long did you spend in Denver? 3 years?
2 years.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came to Philly right after that.
Yep.
Immediately.
Pretty much. Right immediately.
Why?
Yeah.
I didn't have a job in Colorado after I graduated grad school. I had a job, but it wasn't, anything I really wanted to do. And then I had a job opportunity interview in Philly with Comcast. And then I was like, okay, and it was like through a family friend. So it was like a courtesy, like, okay, I'll take the interview. Mm-hmm. I'll fly out to Philly. I'll do the interviews. Did a whole day of interviews and was like, crap, I like it here. And so I ended up, taking the job and then packing my stuff after a summer in Denver and moved back home. And it was definitely a little bit heart-wrenching, but then I came home to New York for a little bit, got myself, settled, try to figure out what I can take to my new apartment in Philly, and then moved to Philly. And then Philly was quite an experience. I absolutely love it. It's just literally like I just feel Philly is an extension of New York at this rate, but it's something I feel like I vibe more with Philly. Just the culture, the way people act in Philly versus the New Yorkers. But it's also, I lived in New York for 25 years, so maybe I'm just kind of
Philly's quaking.
Yeah.
Call them an extension.
I know. If anyone else heard this, they're probably like, this girl is trash.
How dare you?
Out. How dare you speak blasphemy? I've learned to love the Eagles. All right, guys. Like, I'm a Jets fan. Don't worry. I'm not a Giants fan. I'm a Jets fan. It's cool. But yeah, no. But Philly has been very good. It's good to me. I like the Philly. Just you're able to walk to everything, which I think is a big key for me. Is like the accessibility of it all, especially if you live like kind of near Center City. Everything's walkable if you want to walk. You could take a Lyft or an Uber for $7 if you want to, but not in New York. If you do that in New York, it's a $30 cab ride to go 30 30 blocks.
Yeah, that's
like that.
No,
insane to me.
it's like $30 for like 5 blocks.
That is insane. No wonder everyone just walks everywhere because everything's so expensive.
Oh yeah, you're like, I just like, people will rather walk in the rain in New York than take the cab because walking will still be faster. Like you'll be soaking wet, but you'll be.
But I'll get there faster.
It won't cost you $25 either.
It'll be like
So
10 blocks to get there. I'm walking.
Yeah, see, you say that to me in Philly, I'm like, I'm driving. I'm not doing that.
Oh.
I will not walk.
Oh, I remember I would just always be like, Ben, I walked here. And he'd be like, what?
Yeah, because
from your house to his house?
I've done it.
That's a long walk.
That's a long walk.
That's not
so far.
You have to go through Center City in order to get there.
But it's like not.
I mean, on a nice day, sure, but like that is so far. I mean, maybe that's just like the Philly in me, where I'm just like, I'm not doing that.
Roxanne, you're no longer a New Yorker. You're Philadelphian real quick.
You drive places now.
I know.
You're even in the burbs.
Welcome.
Just for the quarantine.
Quarantine.
Save her.
The party.
So I mean, was the initial transition weird? Okay, so like I've never been to Denver. So
me either.
How did that compare from like New York City living? Then you go to Denver, the Midwest, and then you come back, but then you go to like
another Northeast city.
Yeah.
Like
New York's weirder, better cousin, Philly.
I do love the cousin of New York. Yeah. It was definitely a change. The first thing, a few things I noticed when I first moved to Colorado was I have to drive everywhere. There's no public transit system, so everyone just drives. I had my car with me, thank goodness, but at the same time, I was like, I can't just like walk, because I was like, oh, I could take the train, like that seems easier. Or like, if we were going to go downtown with my friends, we're going to go drinking. Obviously, we're not driving, but we're like, oh, I got to take the train and then a cab to get to the bar. Okay, that's a long time. So then we eventually just made people DDs because we're like, we're not doing that loop, and the train stops running right before the bars close. So basically, like, you can't stay for last round in Denver. You have to go to the train. So that was kind of weird. I wasn't used. I love to drive. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't used to driving as much as I had to living in Colorado, and everything also is the Northeast. You know how we're very much like fast service. It's like go. Like the minute you sit, you have like at a restaurant, you get water, you get a menu, you get, okay, what can I get you? Like, can I get a drink order? Like that service. In Colorado, it's like you sit down, you get a menu. Wait a while, you will get water, and then wait a little bit longer, they will come back for your order. So I just remember this vividly. My father came out to visit me for graduation, and my dad is he grew up in Canada, but he's very much a New Yorker now, where service speed is like his thing. Like if it's not fast, he hates it. So we were
classic dad
moves. But we were in Colorado, and he was getting so antsy and angry because the server hasn't come by. He's like, it's been 15 minutes. And I was like, Dad, it's been 5. And he was like, well, I still want to get a drink. And I was like, Dad, they're coming. So I was like, oh, okay. Aww. And I think that made me realize it much more, that I have a separate, like, New Yorkers have a very different pace than Colorado people. But at the same time, I adjusted well, because I was like, oh, I like this like laid back approach. Like, you're not rushing me. Because I just feel like I'm being rushed. Like, by the time you're coming to get my drink order, you also want to know what I want to eat, because you want to give up my table to the next person. At least like in Colorado, they're like letting you enjoy your time. So I think I enjoyed that a lot. Mm-hmm. But then moving from Colorado to Philly, I didn't have my car with me. So I was like, okay. But at Philly, I was like, oh, I could walk everywhere. This is great. So I felt a little bit more at home. And the people I just felt in Philly were kind of like in between the Colorado super, super nice and the like rudeness of New York. You kind of like, depending where you go and who you talk to, you get like a nice, good mix of Philadelphia people.
Yeah, so it's usually a kind of a grab bag of just general emotions just kind of thrown in your face in Philly.
Oh yeah, you could either get like the super nice guy behind the counter, or the one that's gonna like cuss you out, or so it's like oh okay. But then but what I loved but noticed the most are sports teams. So because how like New York has two of everything, it pretty much like splits the population of like you're either like a Jets fan, Giants fan, Yankees fan, Mets fan, or you're just none. You're just like, I don't live in New York. But then when you go to places like Colorado, where they have one team for everything, everybody loves that team. And I think that's like the coolest experience is like everyone is a Broncos fan. Like whether you grew up in Colorado or not, you are a Broncos fan. Like everyone's a Rockies fan. They're like diehard Rockies fans. I was like, this is weird. Usually we're like just split. Like it's different. And then the same aspect in Philly, everyone's an Eagles fan. And everyone's a Phillies fan, and everyone's a 76ers fan. And I think that's super cool, is just having that fan base. And now that makes me be like, of course, New York is greedy to have two of everything. Like, let's just make two of every sport and just
we'll fight ourselves.
Why is there two?
It's for the money.
I
think it's for the money.
There's some historical reason.
There's some reason, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with some sort of the money situation. Because I think certain teams are seen as more white collar versus blue collar, I want to say. Like I would say like for baseball, I feel like the Yankees are more white collar, like versus
Still love them.
But the Mets are more like blue collar type. Like that's just my personal like assumption of it. I think there's an actual answer to that question, but from what I can tell, like that's the thing, is like you pick a team and you're just loyal to it regardless if they win or lose.
I mean, that seems really hard because, I mean, I guess you're just like born into it, kind of like whoever fan base is what, but like, can you like it's so, I mean, I'm not a sports person at all. Sports. But so like, you come to Colorado and then you're like, okay, well, I only have these teams, so I am either a fan of them or I'm less of a fan of them. And that's what I am. Whereas in New York, you're like, oh, I don't know. Why do I have to pick? Like, is there like a territory that one belongs to or what?
So there's always the rumor that there's a territorial thing, because a lot of it is like, because there's the 5 boroughs plus Long Island of New York.
Yeah.
So it's actually like the Queens and part of Brooklyn and Long Island are technically supposed to be all Mets fans. And then the Bronx and Manhattan and then are more Yankee fans. And then Staten Island, you never know what's wrong with them.
They're their own.
Staten Island has their third team.
They're just there. So, but usually people are like, okay, that's how you choose your teams, is like you choose it off like your baseball team. And then they usually say like, okay, it goes Jets, Mets, and then it goes Jets, Mets, Nets. So like it's easy to remember. Basketball, yeah, it's like that's how it's like, oh, just follow that trend. But I was just like, no, I was a Yankees fan because the Yankees were winning when I was a kid. I was like, ooh, I pick winner. So I was like, all right, I'll be a Yankees fan. And then I was a Jets fan just because I think that's a lot what my dad, I remember watching a lot. But also I was like, I wanted to be like, a lot of my friends were Giants fans, and I was like, oh, I want to go against the grain. So I'll be a Jets fan. So clearly I picked wrong because I haven't won a Super Bowl in my lifetime. So hopefully that changes. And the Giants have won 2 in my lifetime. So I picked wrong. But so it's always like kind of that you just kind of pick it based off a little bit of territory, but also your family is pretty much it. Like a lot of families are like diehards.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, Philly has their own diehard fans, but I feel like sometimes the New York fans are scary diehard. They're like almost like a gang, but not a gang.
I mean, like pretty much gangs.
Yeah, they're their own special gang with like the non-violent kind.
Yeah, they're like the Sharks and the Jets.
There you go.
I know we have like, well, I guess people don't know this. I'm born and raised in New York, but
what?
Yeah.
Get off of
yeah,
this
she
podcast
is.
right now.
She knows what's up.
How
but
dare
also,
you?
like people like not in New York, they also like hate the New York teams. Like they just do. Like I've heard a lot of like
But why?
I don't know. They just do. Someone out there that doesn't like any like New York sports team, let us know.
Honestly, like I went to a preseason NFL game. It was Eagles versus Jets at the Link, and I had a 12-year-old boy cuss me out, and he was just like, I was like, excuse me, and he was just like, F the Jets. And I was like, oh no, you're 12. Oh no,
Oh my God.
I'm like, I mean, I literally was like, I like looked around because a lot of people kind of were appalled. I was just like, did anyone else see that? And they're like, yeah, that's like obviously we hate New York teams, but like the Jets are just like, they're not even our division. We don't care about you guys. I'm like, thank you. Can someone educate this little child that just cussed me out in front of everyone? Well, thanks. I was just like, this is I love Philly, guys.
I mean, I've always been amazed by the vigor that sports fans can have, and that I've never been like a part of that. And just looking from the outside, just being like Eagles fans are like so passionate about the team, and like I get there's a certain amount of loyalty, and like maybe it's just because I don't get it. Maybe that's why. But like I'm amazed when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, like people were like crying and in tears, and like this is a big moment. I get it. We won a Super Bowl, but I don't know. It's just it's odd looking in from the outside, and then hearing about a 12-year-old cursing you out. I was like, Jesus, why is it so unnecessary?
I was actually, I loved it because I was in Philly when they won the Super Bowl, and I got to go down to Broad Street. I got to check it out, and I was just kind of stunned and also like not surprised because Philly fans are crazy, because like they did that the game before the Super Bowl where they basically just partied on Broad Street till God knows what time, chanting the Eagles chant. And I used to live right off of Broad Street, so I heard it all night. But when I moved for the Super Bowl win, I was like, wow, these are like some really crazy passionate fans that they're climbing on buildings, climbing up poles. They're, kind of doing a lot of vandalism also at the same time. But I think it was just like, they were just so excited. I mean, then I think about like how when New York won a couple Super Bowls, I was just like, I don't remember them like riding the streets. Like, I don't remember like that part. But when I was in Denver, when they won the Super Bowl back in, I want to say it was 2015, they definitely ride. Like they were downtown. I was like, okay, so maybe if New York only had one team, I'm pretty sure we would be all over the street.
Oh yeah, because you'd all be unified.
We'd actually care about one another. It'd be a unified city. You don't have to deal with nonsense. Sports politics.
Now, if there are two teams, have they ever like gone head to head?
Nope, they're in
different divisions.
But like
no, they do like, so the Jets and Giants have played in preseason. We call it the Snoopy Bowl because it's the MetLife Stadium, and so Snoopy dog is like,
oh, that's so cute.
So they do that for that, and then sometimes like last season they randomly played each other in regular season. They normally don't. The Knicks and Nets will play against each other. Rangers and Islanders play against each other. The Yankees Mets is a big rivalry, so it's called Subway Series. So Subway Series is always probably one of my favorite weeks throughout baseball season. It's basically 2 weeks of baseball season that I get to enjoy. Because a lot of my friends growing up were split. Like a lot of my friends are Mets fans, a lot of my friends are Yankees fans. So that's pretty much the whole like Subway Series is the only time we disagree on pretty much everything. So it's always a nice experience, and I miss going to games, but they'll bring back sports. I know they will. I'm praying for it. That's back. I don't care if I just have to watch it on the television as long as it's happening. Like I'm fine.
I mean, I'm sure there will be actual riots in the streets if sports are just canceled in general.
I'm concerned for Philadelphia. Just saying.
Yeah, the city would be up in flames. I mean, I think that was the joke when right before the Super Bowl game that the Eagles won, was that regardless of whether the Eagles win or lose, the city is going up in flames.
Oh yeah, pretty much. It was prefaced
That's
that like
accurate.
it's a very accurate description because I'm pretty sure I saw that on the news also, and I was just like, okay, so pretty much just regardless, the city's gonna burn down. So I'm ready, and I just love that they were like greasing the poles to like think that they were gonna prevent people from getting up.
Didn't do anything. Didn't do anything.
I saw people dangling from the top where the light is. I'm like, how did you get up there? There's grease on the bottom. And they're like, because it was also too cold, so it just like froze. I was like,
Philly's got some good pole climbers.
Really? Like Philly would be the parkour champions. If like, there was like a parkour like competition or like a American Ninja Warrior, I nominate everyone from Philadelphia because y'all can climb grease poles, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
What's like the most contactless sport?
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
Okay, obviously not football.
Definitely not football. But out of the major sports of like that, the major sports of America.
Yeah.
Curling.
I would say baseball is probably the most non-contact.
So does that mean like you have to like chuck the ball at the person to tag them out?
That's dodgeball.
But like if they
implement... Oh no, you're thinking dodgeball.
if they implement like social distancing.
Well, I mean, social distancing would be interesting in baseball because, like, yeah, like they kind of are very spread out, but it's pretty much the base runners and the batters and the umps. That's as much as close as you're gonna get. The outfielders are just hanging out, drinking beers. And
they are succeeding in social distancing.
So I feel like baseball is one of the most best social distancing sports. I always say golf is a social distancing sport.
Oh, you're right.
Because no one wants to watch golf or play golf. And if you do, you're like not near anyone. I think the closest I get to people on a golf course is like just at the tee box, and I don't have to get close to people. I can just sit in my cart.
Yeah, and you can bring your own clubs, so you're not really touching.
Yeah, I'm using my own equipment. I don't really do much, so I always feel like golf is.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, but it's a good social distancing sport. I've always said that. So, and it's a sport you can play by yourself. It's not like you need a group of people to play versus like team sports. So it's just something you can kind of like go do on your own. Like tennis is also kind of up there, but like, yeah, you still need one person to go play tennis with. I mean, you can hit the ball against the wall, but
wall ball. That's the second time that's come up. When we had Isabel on the last episode, we also got to wall ball.
Oh yeah, because she's a tennis star. So got a lot of secret athletes that are on this team. Cool.
What's it like to be a secret athlete?
But what's it like to be a cool sound engineer?
I don't know. I just drag people in and do podcasts. This is where we would have put our White Claw ad if we had one, or any kind of sponsorship.
We can make like a fake one, like this podcast is sponsored by
Sankey.
Chinatown's #1 roast duck.
Quack.
If you're thinking duck, try.
You're thinking Sankey.
Off to Sankey.
I was gonna say, I feel like they need a slogan or something.
Speaking of slogan, like I think we need a slogan. This podcast should have a slogan. I was gonna say,
do you guys have a slogan? You have a sign off? What's going on?
We don't really have a sign off. I mean, it's episode 3 and we're still kind of working on it. But like, I really think we should have hey, welcome to PDPC, the podcast from Dragon Boaters for Dragon Boaters, or something like that. Not that, because that's real dumb.
That's the classic generic.
Yeah.
Like,
because this is not just for Dragon Boaters.
Yeah. So I mean, like we can experiment with it and open it up to our listeners, if you're listening, to see what can we all come up with. Because I certainly am drawing some blanks, as you can see with my last attempt, Dragon Boaters. What was it? I already forgot it.
The
podcast from Dragon Boaters
for Dragon Boaters.
So it wasn't that memorable, huh?
No, because it was really bad.
So that's the one thing is like, as a marketing person, I'm not creative. Like I don't do the creative part of like slogans and logos. Like I'm not a creative director. I'm more of like the strategic like business plan seller. So
So you're
everyone's like everyone asks me like, oh, you did marketing, like let's like when people are like, oh, let's come up with a cool team name, and they just like look at me and I'm like, no,
Team
not
A.
I was like, no. Or like my friends are like, we need a wedding hashtag. Let's ask you. And I was like, again, I'm not the creative. I'm not a creative marketer. I'm a business strategic marketer.
Oh, so you're more of like I know what to do with it
Business
once
strategy.
it's done.
Yep. I know how to sell things. Like I know how to promote it and I know how to get it out there to people and who to target.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the person that's going to create the content for it. I'd like to think I can.
Colleen, from now on, we're going to finish recording these and we're going to send them right to you and then you distribute.
Perfect. And I'll come up with a logo.
You're
and
a distributor.
I'll be the distributor.
Cool. Perfect.
Give me some fun things to do.
Yeah, I mean we're all working from home. We all got nothing but time.
Nothing but time and things to eat.
Yes. Now I'm even more hungry. So I think we'll end it there. I think we're feeling the
podcast
kind of
hungries.
winding down because we always seem to record this like right before / during dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
And I so far am 3 for 3 for making the unwise choice of just not eating beforehand. So
Same.
Great.
No, this podcast just makes you hungry for more.
Oh ho ho! It does.
Is that a slogan I'm feeling?
Is that a slogan? PDPC,
we're not a food
hungry
podcast,
for more.
though.
Well, we can be a food podcast.
Yeah, we can turn this into
Chef.
whatever we want right now.
We're chef.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. Yes, chef.
No, chef. All right. Well, we'll call it here. Colleen, where can our listeners follow you or reach out to you?
So you could follow me on my Instagram handle is COLRICH25. So you could follow me there. I'm basically on Instagram. That's the same one for Snapchat. You can follow me on TikTok. I'm learning I'm trying to be all cool on TikTok, but main one's going to be Instagram. That's where you're going to find some good content. So hopefully, and I'm a big follow back person. So certainly follow me and I'll follow you right back.
Oh, wow. So polite over social media.
Absolutely.
And Roxanne, where can our listeners follow you?
I'm on Instagram at Roxboxing, ROXBOXING.
And you can also follow me on Instagram at Bwongonite. That's BWONGONITE. Bwongonite. And if you would like to, be a part of this podcast, you can always volunteer and shoot us an email at
PennDPC.
Thank you. You can always shoot us an email. PennDPC@gmail.com and just let us know you're interested and we'll go from there. Until then,
thanks for listening and catch us next time on PDPC. We're supposed to make sounds.
Oh yeah.
Meow, meow.
What are we scatting?